Amtgard Leadership University here at the Kingdom of Crystal Groves at the Kingdom Summer Mid-Rain. Thank you all for spending some time with us today. For those viewing online and those in the audience, what we have here is a small panel of local Crystal Groves members. We're going to be talking about some of the current aspects that we've discussed or seen recently on Facebook, such as women tournaments and things like that. But really, this is a goal and a little bit of a different approach to just get a total women's perspective. We've got new players and a little bit more seasoned players that have a good broad range of experiences all throughout the kingdom. And I know as current king and all leaders across Amtgard, we're really anxious just to get their perspective. So I appreciate everybody joining us today. Like I mentioned before, we're going to do this a little bit differently. Okay, Monomi from GG, Gargoyles Gate, is actually going to lead the conversation. I'm going to excuse myself and work the cameras and the sound a little bit, but we really just want to have a nice open dialogue. So don't expect a whole lot of interjection and questions from me. But Monomi is going to steer the conversation and make sure that we get a good broad range of topics. But really, the table is y'all's. And again, I appreciate you taking the time today, okay? Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right,
You're very welcome.
You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Fur. I've been playing for a little bit less than 6 months. I'm not a citizen yet. That's the best part. And
Who's this peasant?
Amtgard is. I'm very happy to be part of Amtgard, and especially Crystal Groves with these beautiful ladies.
Thank God for Crystal Groves.
Hi, my name is Johnny Ann. My game name is Eliniel. I've been playing for 4.5 years. Let's go 4.5. And I'm also from Ruby Hills.
Hello, I'm Kai. I've been playing for 2.5 years, and I'm from Rising Sun Station.
I'm Savannah Swad, otherwise known as Serova. I have been playing for almost 4 years now. I'm from the Grand Duchy of Crystal Groves.
Hi, my name's Grace. I'm from the Valley of Smoke. My game name is Nerini, and I've been playing for, I think, 3.5 years.
That's pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, we did it.
So, as you guys are all from Crystal Groves, I wanted to start off by asking, what do you think Crystal Groves could do to make everyone feel more welcomed or included?
Everyone, not just women, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we going in order? Can I just talk?
We can just talk.
Okay. In my opinion, I feel like a lot of it is to stop assuming certain things about people, mostly about your own skill level. It's very arrogant, and I myself have been very guilty of this, is to think, I know way more than this person does, so I'm going to talk down to them about how they talk. And that happens a lot to new fighters. We haven't had a whole lot of new fighters at my park for a while, and I think that that's part of the reason, is because there's a lot of that, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like when you see a new fighter walk up and people are like, you've got the stance all wrong. This is how you're supposed to do it.
Inundated with
exactly.
advice.
And it seems very condescending, and a lot of people don't like that. And I feel like that's a really big. I feel like that's one of the issues with it. So.
I had that happen to me. At first, I was like, "Oh, like this is really helpful," and then suddenly it was like 10 different people going like, "You're doing that wrong," and I'm like sitting here going like, "Okay, cool."
I'm dead.
And it wasn't just me, because right when I joined, I think a ton of other people joined right before me, and then right when we did.
You came with like the girl squad at RSS.
Yeah.
Like you came with like
Yeah,
everyone.
we did bring a few.
like
And-
most of our girls from RSS.
But yeah, that does happen. It happens more of more when we do a lot more visiting. But at least
yeah, it doesn't happen as much.
ever since we started doing intervals, it's happened less, because we
good,
have
yeah.
more of like a direct. This is where you're going to learn how to do something. This is when we're going to learn how to do something, and then we're going to go have fun for the rest of the park. And if you want to keep going towards that person that day who's going to be teaching, then you do that later.
And it's your choice.
Yeah, it's your choice.
Yeah, it's not every second of park is like you being criticized, which like to some people might seem like it's like helping, but for a lot of people it's just like, I just want to play Amtgard. I just want to play your game, man.
Yeah, and a lot of people have lots of different ideas of what Amtgard is.
Yeah,
so there's,
true.
Grace
Fair.
mentioned earlier when we were just all chatting about it. It's like there's a lot of communication that needs to be happening that's not happening. So a lot of people are afraid to voice their opinions. A lot of people are afraid to listen to other people's opinions. There just needs to be more collective listening and speaking up. So.
And learning how to properly communicate.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the social skills of people in Amtgard sometimes are a little rough.
That's one way of putting it.
They definitely can be lacking sometimes.
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
think there's like a communications class that should happen about how to go about pointing out issues, how to go about getting done what needs to be done, discussing with people, critiques, those type of things. Find a way to communicate that in a way that's going to be beneficial rather than harmful.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who sit there and go like, oh, I'm blunt, that's how I am. And like to a certain extent that's really helpful, but to a certain extent that also just can be really hurtful.
Yeah. If you're in a teaching position, once you have to be constructive with your criticism. You can't just be like, oh no, that sucks. You're doing it wrong.
Why does this suck?
You have to explain, like, this is what you're doing wrong. Here's how I can help you fix that.
And a lot of people think that you'll simply learn that just by getting on the ditch field all the time, and which is true, but it will
Some
take
people do
a
learn
lot
that way,
less
but-
time, and people will just say, you could do that, but if you do that, you're going to keep leaving that shoulder open, and I'm going to keep hitting it every single time. So, I mean, because I used to have that, Quaid would fight. Quaid would teach me how to fight, and instead of simply saying your shoulder's open, he would just go bam, 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 until I felt my shoulder was just like raw, and I'm like, how do I block that shoulder? And he's like,
Just do it.
maybe lift your arm a little bit, and I'm like, see, that makes sense now that you say it. But like, I was like,
Quaid.
he would always go for the same shot until I learned how to block it, which, you know, but it took a lot less when I finally like, can you just tell me? And he's like, yeah, do that. I was like, okay, but
Yeah.
that
It
kind
might
of
be
thing.
because I feel like that's the way like Quaid and them learned things
Exactly,
when
yeah.
when they've been fighting and doing like block striking. It's like, you know, I'm gonna hit you there until, and I don't know, I wouldn't want to be hit somewhere repeatedly.
Exactly.
Especially if they know, it's like they see it because they're taking the shot over and over again. So
Yeah.
I'm just like,
It
tell
is
me that my
also-
shoulder is
yeah,
open.
it is also a very effective way of learning, and it's a very effective way of,
It
okay,
is,
my
but
shoulder
only,
hurts.
but only
but-
after they tell you
well,
what's
yeah.
happening.
So-
So, they
so-
might as well tell you that. Like,
It
after,
depends. So
like,
there's
third one.
there's this kind of like, because there is a silent communication between a lot of, especially the seasoned fighters, where they'll be fighting, and they like things will happen on that field where like even like semi-newer fighters like myself are just kind of like, I'm not sure exactly what happened there, and it kind of goes over your head a little bit. But there is like kind of they can communicate without really saying anything because they've
Yeah.
known each other for so long, and they've been fighting for so long, etc.
through the
So-
wax.
Through the wax, communication through the wax.
There's also
So-
the language that we use.
Yeah.
Like using sucks, lose, horrible,
wax.
whatever, without adding something. Well, no. I don't like using those words anyway. Say something different. We have tons of words in our language. Pick something else.
So many.
But you can use something other than that and actually point out what is happening compared to saying, you're just bad, or something like that. And I also think if you're going, what also helps encourage a lot of new people and a lot of people who want a sense of community is if you're going to pick out something and try to help someone, add something positive that they're doing good.
Because there's
like-
always something.
That's
Because if
Yeah.
you're always getting this isn't right, you need to do this, you need to do
The
this,
sandwich method.
you kind of feel like
That's like-
you're just never going to get good. You're never going to. You're starting off at like
Yeah.
negative.
Like the sandwich method for
Yeah.
compliments, you know, say something good, say something really bad, and then say something kind of uplifting at the end.
and
know?
you can always find something good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love how
that
the bread
kind
is
of
the something good
criticism
and
is
something
how I
else.
met, like how I met Lothario Connor from GG, and through Connor I got to like walk up and meet Amber more and talk to her a lot more, and it was a lot of constructive criticisms. He would say, okay, that's how we can build on it. You're not doing so well right there, because he pulled me aside and he asked, hey, can I show you a few things? And I was like, yeah, sure. And we were just talking and communicating while we were doing stuff, and I think that's how he taught me how to fake, which was great.
And now she can't stop.
So,
Fix.
why did you guys start playing Amtgard?
Well, I started playing because of my brother. He started playing first. And at first I just thought this was like a huge nerd fest. I'm like, this is really lame, and like you're doing nothing with your life if you keep joining this. This is stupid, Zachary. But one day, and I had gone through like this really bad depression for about 6 months to a year. And I just like, it wasn't at the point where I wanted to necessarily, you know, kill myself. It was just, I was like really, really low. And like, I didn't feel a reason to do anything in life at all. I just wanted to do nothing. And I came to Amtgard once to drop off something for Zachary. And he was down in the ditch field, so I had to go through all of these fighters and all these people And they recognized me because I look so much like my brother. So they all recognized me, like, "Are you Swanee's sister?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Hi!" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "How are you? Are you fighting? You should come fight. We have swords. You want to come fight?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just here to drop off this for Zachary." And they're like, "Are you sure? Because we can fight you. Like, we can teach you how to fight." And they're like seriously like super excited. It was like I think it was because I was related to Zachary that they recognized me and were so excited to see me because like "Oh, Swanee's sister's finally here," because he had been trying to get me to come for a long time. He must have kept talking about me. I don't know. But they were all super excited, and I looked around and I realized that like there was kind of this like even playing field where like I didn't have things stacked against me and like I could just take a single step forward. And I was like, this is a really nice, welcoming environment for me. This is like, people walk around, like they saw me, they were happy to see me. They're trying to teach me how to fight. They're trying to tell me how to do things, make my garb, do all of these wonderful things. They want me to be happy here with them. And I was like, that's a really, because I just came out of high school, so I mean, that was not a welcoming environment for me at all. So it was, when I joined because everyone was just so happy, and it gave me a reason to look forward again, so.
Great.
I'm actually trying to remember how I got into this.
It just absorbed you.
Showed up one day.
Yeah,
The amalgamate.
I want to say that it was a mix of card shop people, because I used to play Magic the Gathering. I don't do that anymore because it's really expensive. And they used to have flyers and cards at the card shop. And I'd seen videos of LARPing before, and it always seemed fun because I was always that kind of like nerdy person into Lord of the Rings. And I was like, heck yeah, I can dress up as an elf. This is great. And that's how I kind of ended up there.
So to that, do you guys want to talk about a time where you felt your best at Amtgard and who or what contributed to those feelings?
Yeah, like similarly to like what they were saying, what Savannah was saying, it was just I've always felt, maybe it's just it might just, or I think it's a Crystal Groves thing, but I've always felt just like really at home here, like at Amtgard in general, which is hard. It's hard to like, because like my mom, my family, they don't understand. They think this is a cult. Like they're just like, why are these people so nice to you? What are they trying to get out of you? And I'm just like,
I don't even think that it's like what people want to get out of
Exactly.
you. It's like they want to push you to be what you want to be.
or like the reason that I want everyone, like I want everyone to be having fun and enjoying, because I just want more friends. Like, like honestly, like that's my favorite part of being in Amtgard. And like that's like when I feel. What do you mean like a moment that's you're at your best, like personal best, or like where you felt like the nicest, like
Just where you felt the nicest, I guess, during Amtgard.
I just feel like whenever I'm around like my people, like you guys, or like just my friends, like I just feel really there's not many places in this world where you can just feel like immediately like accepted and validated, and that's like maybe I don't know if it's all Amtgard because I didn't really feel that in other places, not gonna throw shade, but like maybe just in Crystal Groves, I think that's something that Crystal Groves does really well, like making people feel like a part of something bigger. Like
Sorry. I understand.
There is, but
like,
why are you
because there's a wasp. There's a wasp right behind you. Don't move.
okay, I shrug.
Okay, it's on me. I understand that because like I think the point where I felt the best was our last big event. I was having a really rough time there, and I recognized about like 2 people sitting in a group, and I walked up and I was just feeling really like, and I barely knew almost all these people in the group, and I sat down and we just started talking, and then they just started talking to me about anything and everything, and I went from feeling really upset to feeling extremely welcomed, and all it was just talking about stuff. And then the next day I had a whole slew of people. I was just walking around going like, I know you and I know you and I know who to talk to, and I up until that point I didn't do any ditch battles because I was just too upset to do any of it because I was just too much was going on.
Yeah.
And I just felt comfortable because these people who I didn't know were really welcoming.
I am allergic to you.
to us.
Please go
And
away.
oh dear God.
It's okay.
Don't do it.
Just shoot
No, no,
away.
dude. Just leave him alone.
No, just
Leave him
let
alone.
it
Just
be.
let him be here. Let him.
Let him be.
Oh
my
yeah.
But yeah, that's
I mean, yeah.
that's what's that
It's-
was like
but that
the
state is
best
so
thing.
fragile too. Like I've noticed, like when you said when we were at when you're at your lowest, it's like that state of like feeling so included. Hello. That state of
Somebody gave me a weird ass glare for wearing this chain and this thing. He like looked at this and looked at my belt and was like, and I was like, I'm sorry.
I'm bad.
I'm sorry that I did
I'm overdoing
things.
it.
Yeah,
So-
but that. Yeah.
We're
Introduce
talking
him.
about when did you feel
Heights,
like your
very
highest at
Yeah.
Amtgard?
Ooh.
Yeah. But
Before we do, or
yeah, I mean, it's a small point. It's so easy to get taken out of that, like that and like nice gushy feeling of like feeling really included and really a part of like a bigger thing. It's so easy to get taken out of that with like one comment or like one thing that takes me back. Because I come here to escape the real world, and so it's very upsetting when I have to deal with like things that I would have to deal with in the real world here.
Honestly, you do deal with a lot more of like those random little comments than I do. Because people still think that some of those things are okay even in Amtgard.
I'm just like, oh no. Like,
so do our two new people want to introduce themselves real quick?
Oh.
Say how long you've been playing.
I'm Promethea. I'm from Goldenvale, and I've been playing for 13 years.
Woo!
I'm Keladry. I'm also from Goldenvale. I've been playing for 8 years?
Seems right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
8-ish.
I've been playing the least amount of time, and you've played the most amount of time.
Yeah. She can't vote yet.
Oh yeah.
So to the point of like things that aren't okay in Amtgard.
Oh no.
What do
triggered
you
already.
guys mean by that?
Okay, so that's a really broad
A lot of them are
statement.
things that aren't okay in real life either.
You
But we
know,
just have
like,
more power to
criticism.
enforce them in Amtgard.
Maybe don't just go walk up to random people and just grab them on the waist. That
That's a
would
thing that
be
happened.
one thing. that
Keladry's
I would
actually got,
just
like,
say.
A
Lifted.
solid story about that.
No
Nice.
one touches me.
The-
But they know
so
that.
I thought that too, right? Because I'm like loud and angry. And generally people know that and they don't touch me. But I went to Keep for the first time 2 years ago. And I have a nice belt that that Dame Celia made for me. And some guy walked up to me and grabbed me by the belt ring and yanked on me. And I said, what do you think you're doing? And he said, oh, well, I just wanted to look at your belt.
Then maybe you should ask
That's
for
right. touched
He would
me.
be on the floor. That is not okay.
I'm not a mannequin. This is
I love
And then
showing it off.
we have
Just
a
be like, can I look
language.
at your belt?
Yeah,
But you can look from here. Like, I can see it. It looks pretty. I can see
I
it all
had,
over here.
like, what was it, when I mentioned, like, don't just grab people on the waist, is that this was actually literally the same night that I was really upset, and it was, people were just walking around there, and so people were just grabbing me, and it was nothing like groping, but it was just, like, people were just grabbing me.
Sometimes you don't
And
like being touched.
I was so instilled in the fact that if I said, don't touch me, that I'd feel that I would be rude and giving off this vibe. And I think as girls, a lot of people understand that whole like, oh, I don't want to be rude.
Not me
But they're
necessarily,
being
because
rude.
I had this person who was semi-drunk, I don't know, but he was like, I said something, and I like answering somebody else, I don't know what he thought it was an invitation for, but he was like, hi, he put his hand right here, and I was like, no, and I said, well, but he kept doing it. He did it again, and like he kept trying to get closer.
so glad I
and
wasn't
so
there.
yeah, and so I finally turned around, looked him in the eye, I said, "Do I even know you?" He goes, "Do you want to?" I said, "Absolutely not. Walk away." Yeah, and it was
I would have
like,
been so scared
but,
if I were
but
you.
I'm used to that because I have, I have 4 brothers, and that gives me a lot in my confidence in Amtgard because I'm used to guys being guys, like just being kind of crass and a little bit like loud and like, but like they're still there. My brothers are very respectful to me, and they don't say things to me that I don't want them to say.
But
But I'm also friends
That's your
with-
family.
Yeah.
And
There's
they,
nothing
Yeah.
I hate more than the phrase "guys being guys." Not like that you,
Exactly.
not in the way that you
Yeah,
used
exactly.
to, right? Because you were like, my brother taught me.
Boys will be boys.
That
That's
boys
not
will
what
be
that means.
respectful, but
Boys will be
man,
boys is not an excuse.
Whoa.
Yes, they will, but it's not an excuse
it's
for
like,
any
boys
of
will
their.
be garbage. No.
Maybe that one's real. Like, why don't we do that one? It's like, oh, boys will be
I saw a
garbage.
meme. I saw a meme. It was like when he calls
You
you a
don't use
misandrist and
garbage.
expects you to deny it, and it's like.
No,
I don't know
these groups have showed me that no, I can just walk up to someone and be like, no, don't touch me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not,
I don't know
not
if you
mood.
have the same experience, Kai, being also somebody who's like super tall and like fairly big like me. Do you ever have that like you find that doesn't deter men from saying inappropriate things despite the fact that you're bigger than them?
Yeah. I've never been lifted like some of my friends.
I have.
Like,
Have you
maybe
everyone here?
I did it.
Well, I'm like, actually, I have been
Who's
picked up.
picked
I have been
not
picked up.
voluntarily.
I have been picked up, but it's not as common as like some of my
Bless
friends.
you, Johnny Ann. Continue living that life.
I just hit them first. What are you doing? You're too close to me. Get away.
And it's just like, no, like I'm already high enough up here.
My mom taught me a long time ago how to keep someone from hugging you that you don't want to hug. You just want to take your thumb and put it right about here so that you'll have it like right against here, their solar plexus. So if they start hugging and they start trying to get too close, you just push because you have them right there. You just push back and they're like, oh
Solid
god.
life advice.
I know.
I wish I
I
had,
find
like, a
just
decade
stopping
ago.
them by putting your palm on their face works.
That's true. But then again, they could like lick it or something. You don't know what you've got on your hand now.
Okay, that's
so,
good.
yeah.
No, my favorite is like.
I have
when-
not been licked by a stranger. No, has that happened?
Which is another answer. So licking is bad.
I
Let's mark that
have been
down.
licked
I
by
mean,
a
not
stranger.
gonna
I didn't think I needed to write that down, but I guess.
Here's a pen. Write it down.
lick
Licking is
people.
bad.
I don't lick people.
It's any kind
PSA.
of, like it's any kind of thing that marginalizes you down to like a thing that is inappropriate. So height, weight, age, gender, anything that makes you feel isolated from the rest of Amtgard by having a specific like detail about your life. And like one of those things is like feeling really. There are a lot of people in Amtgard who feel entitled to a lot of stuff, as I'm confident you all know, and like feeling entitled to like take away your bodily autonomy is a problem in Amtgard. And I will say with both genders, although I experience it more with men than I do with women, but I've absolutely experienced it with women as well.
I've actually, strangely enough, I've experienced it more with women than I have with guys because the guys, I don't know why or how, but the guys have always seemed to pretty much respect me, and if any guy tries to touch me that I don't want them to,
Particularly
all the other
Mr.
guys around them
Rose.
are like, don't, that's bad, and I really appreciate that. So, but strangely enough, the girls, like some of the girls, or one of them actually tried to come up and just kiss me full on the mouth once, and I was like, I actually covered my mouth, and I'm like, no, and she's like, fine, and walked away, and I was like, no, sorry.
There's-
So,
So funny.
I think it goes along with that, like, objectification thing. Is there's a lot of objectification, and there's a lot of like women as sexual objects. So when women get caught up, I see it a lot in Amtgard. Women get caught up in that idea of like, I want to be a thing so that guys pay attention to me.
Yeah. Which is it's also
Which
it's
is
like,
it's just like cyclical, like
exactly.
like
It's
caught
all
up in
from
your
the
own
same.
head.
It's all from
Yeah,
the same
it's your insecurities,
I-
but the idea is
yeah.
like, oh, if I make out with this girl, every boy in the room will be watching me. Which is like you disrespected that girl. You're not being super great to yourself. Like, why do you care what those boys think so much?
Yeah, and it's like
It's hard.
I got caught up in that too of like, well, I don't want to, because I started this game when I was 17, so I was like,
Please go.
not
cool.
yeah,
You
exactly.
want
I wanted
people
to
like you.
and I already knew like back then at RSS there weren't that many. There was I think there were like 2 other girls, one of which was she who should not be named, and and I was definitely the only.
Swatting at
Other than a mom that comes sometimes dominant, I was definitely the only black girl. So, and I'm often still the only black.
Especially that, like a lot of people just
The fact
say
that I've gotten
stuff.
that unironically before.
Another point. Saying that you can't see color is super goddamn offensive.
No,
Also, I don't see you as a woman.
It's also
something someone
super-
said Kiara lately, and I'm so mad.
That's so
Being a
like.
girl is so cool.
Yeah, but like I noticed
Exactly.
that I get more. I noticed that like there's a lot of education, especially in Crystal Groves, of on sexism, but there's not a lot on how some things that women do perpetuate like patriarchal things and perpetuate sexism, and it's not I'm not saying it's their fault because it's all
not on
from
purpose.
from that. It's all a side effect of being internalized
Yeah,
sexism.
internalized
Like you made
misogyny is really
a post
hard
about
to
it.
deal
Yeah,
with
like I made a
sometimes.
post about
Yeah.
when I see a girl fight in front of me, like I've noticed kind of because there's a lot of conversations that were going around for a while about like, you know, women's tournaments and everything and women's fighting and everything. So, and I sat back and I thought about it for a second and I realized, and I don't know how I fell into this habit and I really am trying to undo it, but I realized that whenever I fight a girl, like if I square off with a girl, I just automatically think that I actually can just easily beat her. Maybe not easily, but I know that I'm going to be the winner. And I don't know why that happened, and I am doing my best. I'm doing well. I mean, to be fair, a lot of it is sadly kind of true. Like, not all girls, because I don't get out. There's not a lot of girl fighters that I get to meet, especially newer ones.
But that's also just because you know your own skill. Like if I see a target,
like if I fought Promethea, I would actually kind of automatically assume that you would give me a good fight. Is what I would think.
Or no, because there's a flame belt.
But like I don't know why I would think that.
Like,
I don't know why. So it's like there's certain things where I'm like, maybe you can give me a fight, but other girls I'll see, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to be able to beat you.
Is it because of her size?
It's masculine perception.
Maybe.
I have a low voice, I'm tall, I have broad shoulders, and I know
I get that too.
I can see my own haircut. And like oh god, no. When I see women like Anna is a perfect example. When I see Anna, I am terrified of Anna.
Oh my gosh,
but
I'm
it's
so
the same.
scared
It's the
for
same
her.
reason to me. She has like those masculine traits of like appearing strong, looking like she knows what she's doing, and those are all things we associate with male fighters.
Yeah.
Is like that like confidence and strength, and so when you see another woman, you're like, well, she isn't doing the thing I'm doing, so thereby I must be better than her.
Which is why I like to make a point. I make a point to try to combat some of I'm non-binary, so I'm not trying to like be present as overly feminine, but I feel like it's necessary in Amtgard because I want to make sure that I know that like women know that I'm with them. Like
I want to make girl squad pins.
Yeah.
You all want girl
Yeah.
squad pins?
Yes.
Girl gang.
I have a twin sister.
We're the Crystal Girls.
Yeah.
We're the Crystal Girls.
Oh, we're the Golden Girls.
Or the Nine Babes.
It did.
No.
Golden Girls has a different connotation, I feel like.
No. Moving on.
Moving on.
So I have a question. Johnny Ann, you've been a little bit quiet. So we've talked about some of really some of the negatives, and really sadly the negatives and the experiences that each of you have shared. What are some things that park leadership can consider in order to make sure that really to keep an eye out for those kinds of things, especially if maybe they're not trained in human resources or things like that. So I'm talking really usually your lesser experienced leaders, both in Amtgard and life.
Man, you don't talk, and then you get the hardest question of all.
Well, I've been thinking about this a lot because when I first started, I had kind of a problem with a certain player, and I almost stopped playing. But it felt like when I would say that certain things were making me uncomfortable or this wasn't cool, no one else seemed to notice it was happening.
Yeah.
Like, and it would happen right there. Like, he would say things, and I'm like, y'all hear this? There's like 8 of us. I know you can hear it. So, I felt like it took a little longer for that to get handled than it should have. So when I feel like if someone tells the leaders that something is making them uncomfortable, that they don't feel like it's right, that should be handled. And if the leaders don't feel confident that they can handle it, that's what kingdom upper levels are. You go and ask them, like, hey, so what would you do? There's a wasp.
This wasp is an agent. This wasp is an agent of the patriarchy.
We have a system of leadership, and you're not, as a park leader, you're not alone. You have a system, and you also have the
Ombudsman.
I can't spell. So if you feel like no one else, if you feel like it's not being handled, there's also channels to go through there. And I've been kind of putting together a beginner's packet for beginners so that they know that these things are available.
You can talk to someone.
And it also helps, we have code of conducts, we have sexual harassment policies. Making that available to players and just not being like, hey, we're just barely part of Amtgard, or let's just fight. Woo.
We're not the Wild West.
We have things. We got things. And we got resources. You probably should read them.
That's something I think, to a certain extent, the rest of Amtgard could take a note from. I'm just gonna just say it. I feel like Crystal Groves is doing a lot of steps and doing a lot of things to try and make it so that people are comfortable. If you can't go to your monarch in your park, to feel comfortable, to go either all the way up to the king if you have to. If you're uncomfortable, if you're not being respected about the thing, if something is being said to you in a harassment kind of way, or someone thinks it's funny to punch you in the arm all the time. Something that's small so you can sit there and say, please stop, and they don't. I feel like the rest of Amtgard can look at our kingdom. We are very good at that, or at least we are trying really hard to be like that.
Probably best in the game right now
Yeah.
in terms of handling your own stuff. Like, you've got good policies
I've
in
never heard
place.
before.
You treat incidents seriously and respond to them really quickly. All of your monarchy and your board of directors work effectively to do things. You guys are really setting a super high bar. For the
I
rest
think
of
that
Amtgard.
it says something that you've been in the game for less than 6 months and you already feel comfortable going
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
king with something
That's
like that.
true.
I wouldn't have.
Gold
I
standard.
also you
Gold
said
standard.
all the way up to the king, and it's important for people to know. I think new players especially know that your monarchy is not an inaccessible,
Yeah.
Not the be all end all.
iron throne.
He's a person, too.
Scary.
He's a dude.
Yeah,
See,
in
when I
general,
first started,
monarchs-
it was
shirt
yeah.
on
When I first started,
backwards,
he was
just like
such
the rest
a
of us.
vague concept. Yeah, it was a nebulous concept when I first started.
Your kingdom monarchy is there to serve their players, and it doesn't matter if you're from your kingdom level duchy or your whatever shire.
Yeah.
I was gonna come up with a park name, but I've got nothing. I'm blanking on all the Crystal Groves parks. Every single one.
GG. Well, one of them is called Crystal Grove.
I think it's
So yeah, just they're there for you. That's the point.
Yeah.
I think the past the past two monarchs have kind of
Solidified
made an environment where we all hold each other accountable for things. And I felt like when I first started playing, that wasn't people didn't do that. People were not okay with being hey, what you did was wrong and you need to fix it.
Or it was this weird limbo of people were telling me, oh, we have this policy, oh, we have this, but then I would never see it enforced to the way that I thought that it read on paper until relatively recently, and then I was just oh, okay, so we're protected in junk, because it was always a thing in writing, but I feel like it was made a thing.
There's kind of a middle point in there too, where you have to make sure you talk to and as much as it might be tempting to not talk to your park monarchies, you don't get along with them, or they're involved, or they're never around. You should at least go the step of being hey, this thing makes me uncomfortable, because then when you go, when you go to the king or when you go to the ombudsman, you've already taken that step, because then you're also able to point out, my monarchy is really terrible and should be held accountable to the things they said they would do in the Kapora and the sexual harassment policy. And if they're not doing those things, then you don't need that monarchy in your life. You can elect better people if you have the option to do so, or you can just get people out of office that aren't helping you. That's why you elected them in the first place, was to help you.
And
Democracy.
We use it.
and then the thing you mentioned, you too, is that's not just an Amtgard. That should be in his everyday life. People should be to understand that if you do say something and someone walks up to you and they say, you hurt me, you hurt my feelings, and something you have said or did has wounded me, people need to be prepared to be held accountable to.
Imagine
For
that.
even not
Yeah.
there's not. I don't think I feel like things have happened to me where I could have gone and where I maybe should have gone and told someone for a formal thing, but then some things I'm just okay, I can deal with this on my own.
Well, my only concern with anything like that is I sometimes feel uncomfortable going to certain people and saying, hey, this person's been saying this about me, because usually the follow-up question is, have you told them? And I'm
you shouldn't have to tell them.
I shouldn't have to, but a lot of people, that's the response I get very often.
And if,
I feel
if you go to
you
someone and they
told them
give
it's
you
wrong.
that response, then go to the person who's higher up from them. Don't even make it a thing that
And
you need.
usually,
You don't
even
even
if
need
you
to deal with
mention
it.
it to them. They'll pull the I was joking.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Or you can't take a joke.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that, if a guy is hitting on you, for example, and you're just oh yeah, okay, kind of a thing, but you don't actually say, I'm not interested, or something like that. You don't give them an actual
Because
no
that's
kind of
kinda
answer. That is I understand it's very hard, but at the same time, if they think that you're actually
It's
genuinely
not, you don't
a
say
thing.
yes,
When I
it's
was-
not consenting. So
Exactly.
if you're oh, I'm not really comfortable with this. There are a lot of people around you feel shy, but you don't tell that person a straight no. That's also not a yes. That person isn't entitled to be able to do things.
As amazing as Crystal Groves is too, there's still like at an event you're still like often around a bunch of drunk strangers. So it's just like it's still no matter, even though they're really cool drunk strangers, it's still like it was less here, more at Keep, where I was like I was around people like thousands of people where I never had seen them in my life. I don't know where they're from. I don't know what's going on. And I'm just like, okay, I need to stay at my camp the whole time.
GC has a question?
So, I got 2 questions actually, and one's a softball because I think everybody's going to realize where this is going. So it's a leader. But I mean, it's a challenge, right? When you're a new player, been in 4 or 5 months, wants to fit in, has somebody. I don't want to say, but testing the waters, right? I'll make a couple of sexual innuendos and oh no, I was just joking. It's okay.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to see what her belt looked
Yeah,
like.
they sneak in and then they immediately
So,
I'm hard uncomfortable.
I mean, are there any tips other than solar plexus and hand to face? And I'm not saying those aren't appropriate at times.
For us to do to them or for them to not? Because the first thing I would say is just don't. Like to the dudes, or whoever's gonna just don't. If you like, I know it sometimes you're drunk and just like, but like that's not an excuse. Just don't. Like if you don't know them, like the first thing that you say, like I've literally had someone come up to me. I've had someone come up to me with like I've had people come up to me with infantilizing language because I started when I was really young. I've had people come up to me with I don't know exactly. Like you know when I don't know exactly what they said. It was some sort of like brown like candy, like either chocolate or caramel. And that was it. That was at Keep. And I've had someone come up to me with that. And that's not like you shouldn't like the first opener. I'm fine talking to anyone. But the first opener should not be, unless you're just like gonna catcall me and keep walking. But the first opener, which I'm okay with, I deal with that. But the thing is, I would rather that. Like I deal with that in my normal life on the metro. So like,
we're gonna specify though. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Please.
But if you're gonna do that, and that's one thing. If you're gonna sit next to me and like spend like 10 minutes like calling me like sweetie and like.
What I say a lot instead of just saying
can we
don't,
not?
I look them in the eye and go, "Why did you say that?"
You will do that, and I love that.
Like, or why did you say that?
Exactly
and they're like,
that, yeah.
Why? Like, well, here's the reason why. I'm like,
it's a joke.
but if it's a joke, you should try and be funny.
Or you just
You're not laughing. Like, well, you're obviously not smart enough to make a funny joke.
It's always okay for you to say, I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah. That was
That was
better
something
one.
I would never have done when I was like 4 months into the game.
Yeah. No, just look him in the eye and go, excuse me. And that's all. That just excuse me.
Oh my god.
Because then you say everything that you just said all at once.
And you don't need to be a girl to
can
say
you
these
not?
things. You can say
Can you not?
Can you not?
And I think
Must
you need to be
we? Must
prepared
we?
that people are gonna tell you. People are gonna get mad. And
Yeah.
you're like, I had a really good group of friends, and when I started being like, you can't just make fun of me because you think it's cool. Like, I'm over it. I'm not 17 anymore. Like, I'm over this. I got a lot of like, oh, you're not fun anymore. You used to be cool. Like, why can't we be friends?
Because
anymore?
why can't we
like
guys?
this?
Why
And
can't we
you're gonna-
abuse you guys?
You're gonna lose people, and you don't really want those people in your life anyway. So,
And
it's
like,
gonna suck.
As
and
Dr.
that's
Seuss
just-
said, those that mind won't matter, those that matter won't mind.
And like I said, for half the stuff, you don't need to be a girl talking to a guy and go like, "Hey, please don't." You can
just
be in a
awful,
group
that's how
of
it is.
guys and just go and they're shooting the
more
shit
likely
and
to
talking.
listen to you.
And some of the everyone knows a guy that's been in that situation where they're all shooting the shit and they say something and everyone laughs and he's sitting there like this, going like, "That really was upsetting."
Yeah.
You can go,
Yeah.
"Excuse me." You can go, "Is
What was
that
that?
okay
I
to
also
say?"
What was that?
notice when that stuff happens, and now at least in Crystal Groves, often like if I'm sitting around and maybe like if my overbelt or if my knight is sitting and we're, like there's something like that happens, they'll both like look at me. They'll be like, oh shit.
I know that Brittany and I know that I have both used the phrase like, well, that's a shitty thing to say. Just call them out and then watch or be like, can you just repeat that for me? Yeah. Because then they have to say it the second time.
That's
and they
my
feel
favorite.
really sheepish
They're just
about
like,
it.
And they actually
I love
think
it when
about
that
what they're saying
Yeah.
the second time around.
If it's like a really nasty joke, And or no, Maya, it's specifically if it's a racist joke, you constantly no, you know what I'm talking about. If you constantly say I don't get it, explain. I don't get it, explain. You
What's
will
funny about
you
it?
will,
Especially when
you
they
will
know
derail
that I
them
get
to
it.
the point where they will have to either admit that they just made a racist
Or they'll
joke,
just drop it.
or
There's
they
no
will
place
just
for that.
get
Or they'll
upset.
actually explain it to you. That's the word. So I love that. That's like my go-to, and I love doing it. And usually someone goes, "Whoa, it was just a joke," and their friend goes, "Nah, man, it's because you're being a racist." Like, that's usually the end of it. But sometimes dudes will take it as an opportunity to go, "Let me explain humor to you," and you're like, "God, please stop."
Can you not
talking to me."
mansplain to me, please?
I just.
Oh, thank you, because I've never made a joke in my life, and I've never laughed before, so please explain that to me.
Is this what you call? Am I saying this right?
Humor?
Tell me where.
Alien from another planet.
Tell me where in the sword, in the sword and sorcery of Amtgard is a KKK joke like
First of all, it's not
Is that-
period, and you're really like,
where does
do
that
not.
fit? Like, I'm just like, and that's not. I've heard them twice, like two separate occasions, two separate people, and I'm just like,
We're going to talk after this.
No.
So, okay.
No,
and I'm
and
just
that's
like, where is that?
That's like a whole
Where
other
does that
thing.
fit?
Like, you have to deal with a lot more. A lot of people still think it's okay to make those racist jokes in Amtgard. They'll like some people refrain from like political talk to try and keep us out of the real
where I
world.
like that.
But they still feel like it's okay to make those kind of jokes, especially at you.
Or around me,
And-
to just like see, because also I'm really quick to call out everyone in Amtgard on the internet.
And I have a question.
Line that, like, I feel like. So I'm not saying that the Northeast has solved racism, like obviously not.
Although when I went up there,
but
it was
it's
very
just
refreshing.
like it's like internalized, right? It's more subtle.
Yeah.
It's like microaggressions and like,
Which-
oh, we don't
which-
go there
I-
because
which
it's a bad area or like
Bad
it's
neighborhood.
urban. But like, man, the things people will openly say in like the Midwest and down, it's insane. I was shocked.
So you've met my family. You've met the rest of my family.
all N-words, all things. And I'm just like,
Okay, actually, I have a question for you, Kai.
yeah.
And I'm sorry
No,
to
go.
derail you. What is some of the stuff? What are some of the things in Amtgard that someone can do consciously when someone is making those jokes in front of them? And like, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not black.
What?
And you're not black. I know.
We're all
But-
kind of things.
It's one of those things. Like, what are some of the advice you can give to people who can sit there and say? Because this is your conversation. I'm not
Why are
going
you
to
Amber said this earlier, I said.
Yeah, that's shady.
And you not.
You suck. Why are you racist? Why are you a piece
No, I'm
of
like,
garbage?
I want to
Don't
hear it
speak
from you
to
because
me.
this is
Don't
your
look at me.
conversation. This is your conversation.
So there's. It's so hard. So like, you know how this wasp is chilling? That's like what microaggressions are. and I'm explain microaggressions.
Explain wasp.
Explain,
to
okay.
my
So I think mosquitoes is better. So I'm gonna use the mosquitoes.
Explain
analogy.
microaggressions first.
Okay, let me use it to explain it. So a mosquito, a mosquito bite isn't inherently dangerous unless Zika. but there's no Zika of microaggressions. So the
That's just
Zika.
an aggression.
I guess the Zika
Wow.
of no, the Zika. Okay. So mosquito bite, like a single mosquito bite, isn't inherently like dangerous or harmful. It's annoying, but like it's not. Your arm's not gonna fall off. But that like, and maybe it never will. But like you keep like you keep getting bitten and you're scratching and it's like everywhere and like and then maybe some people get bit by mosquitoes more than other people. So when I'm complaining about the bugs, they'll be like, "Oh, the bugs haven't been that bad for me this event." But I'm covered in bites. Like,
what? And then they'll be like,
so that's how microaggressions are. It's like there are microaggressions like that women get, but and I'll talk to women who understand the concept of microaggressions, and then they'll be like, well, I don't see. Well, I mean, like microaggressions aren't that bad, and I'm like, aren't they? Aren't they? Because there's definitely, and it's literally, I understand, it's literally just because there's so few of us, people of color, in Amtgard, that it's just like
Give
there's
some examples
of
Just of, like,
microaggression.
microaggressions. Just
The obvious ones, grabbing my hair, You have permission.
I specifically asked for
I
permission.
actually don't care if people touch my hair as long as they don't walk up and put their hands in my hair.
Oh my god, your hair is so strange.
and I'm I'm triggered. So like that's the obvious one. The big one I've gotten was, well, black people just don't like to play Amtgard.
I can't
That's a big
imagine
one.
why. I can't imagine why people of color don't like Amtgard in certain areas.
And then I'm just like, the other one is like, well, you're not like those other black people, okay? That's one, and to them it's a compliment, and I'm just like, why is that a compliment? Another
Can you tell
one.
me what's wrong with black people?
Another one is just general actions like the I don't see color, the obvious one, the you're so well spoken is one,
Still say that one.
yes. Not like they still say it, but it's like not you're so well spoken, because that's kind of where did you go to school, like where did you
It's more like
it's
they're all like,
like you're
oh,
well
you
educated
speak
or
better
yes.
than you speak better than
Yeah.
what
It's
I'm
not-
expecting from you. They
Don't
look
do
at
that,
it,
guys.
they
Don't
think
do
you're
that.
Thankfully
like
for a
that.
black person.
That is an
Yeah.
insult.
And I'm just like, and I understand, like I'm used to, at this point I'm used to, I've never been in a situation, I've always gone to like really diverse schools in DC. I've never been in a situation where I have to be a spokesperson for race, but actually I am, and in most situations, like in the communities I'm in, it's like that's the thing where it's like people, like one of the things is like I'm not a spokesperson for my race, but honestly in Amtgard, I feel like I am, and I'm fine with that, because if the end result is more like people of color coming to Amtgard, which I think can be very, especially in the current like political climate in the real world, it has been very therapeutic for me, where I'll see like some police brutality on the news, and I'll just be like, I need to go to fighter practice. I'm so glad like KSM came in at the right time. I'm just like, I need this like right now.
Speaking of timing, we kind of have to take, it could just be an intermission if we want to continue, that's fine. However, the fighting tournament, the sign-ups have begun, and it's going to close in like 15 minutes. And I know some of you wanted to participate in that. And if anybody had Dragon Master, I know Johnny and you at least wanted to participate in Dragon Master, you need to get over there and sign in for your stuff. So if a couple of you need to excuse yourselves and the rest would like to continue, that's amazing. If not, then I don't know, but those are the important times, and I didn't want anybody to miss anything because the conversation's so good.
I gotta go check with
BRB.
Schlick. I'll be right back if I can. If not, I'll be gone forever.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
I'll miss you all so much.
I didn't know if you were moving. Or
Oh, I didn't know what I was doing.
So yeah.
Yep.
Scoot.
So since microaggressions are a thing,
Yeah. There's a lot of them. It's less like buzzwords and phrases. It's a lot of the time it's just actions. Like I notice like that people treat me differently, and I'm just like, why is that?
They're
Why?
so careful around you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and I appreciate like a lot of it is like trying to not. Sometimes it's like speaking for me. Sometimes it's like my friends will they understand that, and then they'll see some stuff and they'll be like, well, she doesn't like that, or like she doesn't like this, that's racist. And I'm just like, well, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I don't want to seem like an asshole.
Just say it's shitty. Don't say it's shitty because Kai's standing here.
Yeah, like Kai doesn't like that and stuff, and like blah.
It would be shitty if Kai
That's the
wasn't.
thing, like someone's coming to your defense as opposed to, no, you're just wrong.
Yeah.
Don't be a
We don't
racist
wanna do
even
that,
when
but
Kai's
we-
not
we
standing
don't-
here.
Don't do that around so-and-so because they
Yeah,
don't like
you
it.
don't want that behavior to be corrected simply because a person that pertains to is
No, I've
standing there. You want it to be
it's
corrected
literally been like,
regardless.
why are you saying that? Kai's standing right here.
You're
I'm
also
just like,
pushing off ownership. Instead of being like, I think that you are being racist, you're like, I don't want you to say that because Kai thinks you're racist.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Just take ownership and be like, I think you're being racist. Please stop.
Wow, that was racist.
Yeah. But it's at the same time, it's also very hard because the nature of microaggressions is that they aren't intentional usually. And so it's very hard for me to be with my friends and people that I care about and like being like what I used to see as like nitpicking them. But I understand the importance of it now, but it's still very hard to, I rarely, if ever, call it out. Because it's like the mosquito bites. It's like I'm not, like I'd look insane if I was just like, like screaming about the mosquito.
Screaming forever.
Screaming screaming into the night about the mosquitoes.
But I think
you
like
know?
the more like layers of like different subgroups you belong to, like whether like again like racial, gender, sexuality, age, like invisible or visible illnesses, it's like
lay 'em
you
on you.
you lay them on you, and then when you have all those problems, when you want to come, you feel, especially I feel as a woman, you feel like I am nagging this person all the time about these things I don't like, and eventually they're gonna stop being my friend because I keep being like, actually you can't say that, like you can't say these other things, they're really shitty, and it feels bad.
And it does feel bad because it's like I want you to be my friend. Like I'm like if I didn't care, if I didn't want to be around people, I wouldn't even waste my time. Like, well, I might at Amtgard because it needs to be said in general, but like in general, I'm not gonna spend all this time being like, okay, this is something you shouldn't say, this is something you should say, like you need to do this. If I didn't want
decency, man.
if I didn't want them to, if I didn't want to be their friend, basically.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna do all that and then just be like, bye. Like I'm not gonna spend all that time.
They didn't need me yet, so.
They didn't want me.
So another thing I wanted to bring up was I'm not like other girls. Since we're on microaggressions.
I lived I'm not like other girls for so many years because I'm like, all my friends were male in high school, all my friends were male in college, and I just didn't spend a lot of time with women. So like we were talking about earlier, I had a ton of internalized misogyny. Brittany can attest to that. Our first interactions were not good because I needed to win at women. Like I needed to be the best woman I needed to be the coolest, best woman in the room all the time. And as I got older, I realized that women are great and I was doing it wrong. But
Last year's the year I realized that I actually like the color pink, and
Everything is pink now.
Yeah.
Everything is pink now.
good.
I have
I
a giant
legitimately
pink hole on my
love
stomach.
the color pink, and I was just so. It was just like I'm like, okay, if I just want to be cool, I have to hate this, I have to dislike that, and I have to act like that.
yeah.
You know, see, for me, it wasn't really as much of the, you know, you're not like the other girls as much as you're one of the guys. I heard that
It's the same thing.
more.
Same.
It's
Yeah.
very,
They're
but-
both based
exactly.
on the implication that being a girl is a bad thing.
And I really
Yeah,
hate that because
exactly.
I showed up to a dress one of my first events, and I actually showed up to a dress and I had a corset on, and I looked amazing.
You did.
Okay, I looked
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
and everyone was like, one guy turned around, looked at me, and went, "What the?" And he just like cursed like right there, and he's like staring right here, and I was like,
Really? Man?
yeah,
I thought
like
that was
I'm friends with him,
interesting.
and I am still friends with him. He's just a little over the top, but it was a little funny, but at the same time, everyone was doing that, and I felt like
I'm sorry, I probably did it.
now I can't. Well, but
There's a difference between shock that a person is wearing clothes that they never wear and shock that a person
Exactly.
Has
looks like a
boobs.
different
But like
gender.
it felt very strange because it felt like, you know, in order to be a fighter, I had to like forget that I was a woman, and then in order to be a woman, I had to forget I was a fighter, and I hated that. I'm like, I'm both, and I'm going to be both, and I want to be both.
The struggle of Serova.
And fierce.
It's true.
Fight in the dress.
Yeah.
So
it's
like,
also breezy.
what would you do to like encourage people that being feminine is okay?
Wear a dress,
Girl, no,
fight in
not
dresses,
even just
something. Just like be yourself.
wear whatever
Being
you want.
being
yeah.
yourself
Yeah,
is okay.
exactly.
Girls are
Be
great.
yourself.
Being friends with girls is great, and I think my biggest frustration with not like other girls is that it denies women female friendships, which
Yes.
are like the
most important thing.
supportive
Yeah.
friendships. I mean, I'm not like trying to bash like my guy friends, but like there's something about women being friends with other women where you get like a shared experience of the world that's just like really supportive and
Especially
validating.
at Amtgard.
Especially
where
in
it's like
Amtgard.
this whole, like microcosm.
It's like a
of
weird
human
bro
society.
culture, and it's
Yeah.
just like it's denying yourself of all the good things in life.
When
Just
you're-
like embrace the shit that you like.
If your male friends or acquaintances or company mates or whatever are saying like weird shit about a girl, they're like commenting on her physical appearance, being like, oh, she looks hot, like she has other traits. Just don't engage in those things and call them out when you feel comfortable doing so, because you know if you're around a lot of people, it can feel weird. But like try to be like, I don't know that she'd like that.
Also,
before you go
yeah.
into like stop.
And
doing
another
that.
one is like if, for example, on the battlefield, for example, that you can be, because you can still be, guess what, you're a woman on the battlefield too. So if you see another girl and she is looking really like anxious and tense, don't make fun of her for that. Like don't be like, you need to be tougher, because no, that's not necessary.
Also, it's just
there's
gonna
certain-
make her more anxious.
Exactly.
I
It's
remember
gonna
a
be
thread. I
terrible.
remember a thread that was like in
Fucking
I think it was in House Lioness. That was like, I hate when girls. It was by a woman. It was like, I hate when girls cry on field because it makes me look bad. That was basically the point of it. It was
Wow.
actually almost written exactly like that. It's just like when women cry on field, it gives all women in Amtgard a bad name.
I'll
And I'm
cry
just
all
like,
the time. I'll cry right on you.
Yeah, I'll cry now.
I'll cry as an act of violence. I don't care.
So
Fight me.
I'm sorry, I cry when I'm angry.
exactly. And it's just like that's so like because
My voice
that's
gets
bad.
super
That's
shaky.
validating to men too. Like because like it's crying isn't, but crying is like associated with weakness. Is associated with womanhood. And I'm just like how.
Like I just rarely cry personally, but when I do, like everyone freaks out.
I
because
love
I
crying.
don't usually cry.
Crying feels good. Like, to me.
My other question is does anybody? What do you feel like your biggest obstacles are in Amtgard, and like what are you doing to overcome them?
It's too deep.
I can't forget.
I want Grace to answer this one because she hasn't talked in a while.
Yeah.
I feel a boy coming on.
Okay, you got a fun question.
I'm gonna.
Accessibility.
Yeah.
God.
Just in general.
This stage.
The stage.
This stage.
And by the way, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, camping, yeah, it's rough on everybody in general. Nobody should ever have to camp in their life, is my opinion. But especially
You
so
don't encourage
when
that
you've got,
behavior.
like, all of this. It just makes it incredibly hard to get from place to place. And being a woman, I want to always seem independent. I don't like asking for help because it's just my personal goal to be like, I can do this. But it is so hard out here to do this.
That is so upsetting that it permeates that deep.
Because,
She tried
as
to
somebody,
walk herself up the
as
stairs,
somebody with a disability, as someone who has something, and because there's a lot of people who have physical problems that are difficult, and I've never been through it personally, and I'm not going to say I understand, no, but what is your advice to people who sit there going who try and help you a little too much? What is the whole
just
they just
ask.
Don't grab
Do
my
you
chair.
need help?
Ask. If I give consent, you're fine. If I don't, walk away.
Leave.
So
it's a running thing.
Even if you're trying to climb stairs in your wheelchair.
Which is what you tried to do.
Do you find having a visible disability that people treat you weird from the get-go? People are way too
Friendly?
Accommodating? Yeah,
Yeah.
over the top? Yeah.
Infantilizing.
Yeah,
They treat
okay.
you like a child.
Yeah. Because I always find with other things like mental illness, people don't know until you tell them. And so people, you'll say stuff and then people be like, oh God, I didn't know, I'm so sorry. But there isn't that.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if people were
They
just more
assume,
overt with you.
17
Yeah.
things.
This is I'm meeting you at an event, and I can because I've seen you on Facebook. My sister interacts with you more often than I do on Facebook, and you are absolutely the most delightful person ever, and I'm so happy to be able to meet you, and because my sister loves you, by the way. And
She's sassy.
She is. It's just I personally don't want to make you feel like that, but there are people out there who will sit there and it's the notion that I was trying, coming from a good place, I was trying to be nice, I didn't mean it like that, and they're being genuine, they didn't mean it like that,
yeah.
but they still did something, and this can be used in every situation. Really.
Yeah.
The difference in that situation and between someone who genuinely has your best interest at heart and then someone else who is being problematic is when you tell them, hey, I appreciate your help, or you don't, but tell them hey, I see where you're coming from. Can you just take it from here, take it here. When they if they look at you and they're like, well, I was just trying to help.
They didn't care.
Yeah.
They never cared.
If they look at you and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, okay, next time I will keep that in mind. Then
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
So
I need,
some
5
are
questions.
stage setters, right? But I got hit with this question the other day, and the individuals here, we're going to have a great dialogue, and it ended up being a good discussion of it. Why is the discussion's gone from just women topics, right? Which is interesting to me because women topics are also disability topics, our fighter topics, are
They're human
You know what I mean?
topics.
Everybody else's
Yeah.
topics also, right?
Yeah.
So I want to explore that a few minutes if we can. Why is diversity important to Amtgard? And I'm going to say, other than because it's just a nice thing
Human
to do.
decency.
We're going to take a human decency out there,
Okay, I have other
right?
reasons.
So
Back to
why
regular
else-
Amtgard.
why else is
Define
diversity important to
intersectionality.
How long? Why else is it important? Nerini, you're up, because I agree with Amber. You've been
Population. I mean, we need more people coming out here.
And 51% of us are.
And the majority of people in the United States are a minority. So we should be targeting those people.
So if
We
you're
should
mean
be
to those
encouraging
people,
those
they don't
people.
want to come over to
You
us.
don't want groupthink. You want diversity of thought. And if
Yeah,
you're only
that
one
one, yeah.
demographic of people, you can't have diversity of thought, and you're poorer for that.
Look at you using clever
Hey.
terms.
I'm going to use an example from my own personal life, and half of me is going to be talking to Kai. A part of my life growing up was only white people.
Yeah.
Same.
And but yes, I need a moment. So part of that was discovering how important diversity was in my life, and not in the without the human like Golker said, without including the human decency aspect. Was so did most of my family. Most of my family grew up in the deep south, like Georgia, like Louisiana. And it was, dude, I ate good. And it was in like getting to a certain age, realizing I grew up with majority only white people, and then realizing so did a lot of my family members, and like we like me and my sister and my mother, we all dealt with this weird internalized racism that we had. And it was really weird because it wasn't until I went to high school that, I went to a secondary school, so it was middle school and high school, and till I realized how much there was non-diversity in my life. Thankfully, I was very fortunate with the mother I have. I love you, Mom.
She's so cool. She plays soccer.
Hi, Mom.
And my mom, even though we were like surrounded by that kind of thing, my mom still raised us to always be like open to everything. So like when I for example, would be the first time I ever met someone in a hijab. I didn't know what that was, so it wasn't.
Hijab.
I don't think I was being rude, but she was really nice, and I asked what it was, and then she told me what Muslim was, and then
Being Muslim,
I learned I learned about that religion, and I was like very happy to learn about it. And then once I was done with high school, which was very much more diverse than a lot of other schools, it was
Me neither.
it was very enlightening in how much I enjoyed learning and knowing, because it's knowledge. It was knowing about other people's lives. And then I found my passion for learning cultures and languages and all that stuff. But it's really important. It makes you feel enlightened to know about other things than just that one little small shell that I grew up in.
Yep. Also, you'd only ever have like white dude alt rock, and really, what do you listen
What is
to?
the point?
Oh, it was a great day. I discovered music.
Oh God. Where was it?
We were talking
The-
about you've never. Has anyone ever met? Do we have any?
have you ever met a
hijabi
hijabi Amtgard?
What?
Have you ever met a hijabi?
Has anybody ever met like an Islamic faith?
I have met male Islam.
Okay.
Muslim Amtgard.
I don't meet very many that are.
So?
Yeah.
I think.
But the fact that it's not readily
That's-
Yeah.
The fact that I'd
is
never
enough
thought about it before,
that
and
I-
now I'm just
Yeah.
but
I mean,
diversity.
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 Like-
I feel this is very personal for me because I know what Amtgard has done for me in my real life. Like how important it is, how much of an escape it is. I want everyone who has to deal with, I want every minority who has to deal with this crap that's going on in the real world to be able to have this escape. And that is the main reason why I'm so that's like a selfish reason.
No, it's a great reason.
But it's but it's a reason. That's my main
It's
reason
based
for
on-
wanting more diversity, because I know that how many people need this, need Amtgard, and who would benefit from it. And I have, unfortunately, I have a friend who I've been trying to get to come for months, but she sees the demographic and she's just very scared. And I'm just like,
And that's
yeah.
a good point, because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. We were talking to Randall about this, and he
Yeah.
was like, when you look up Google images of Amtgard, 996 out of the first 1,000 people you see in the first 2 pages or whatever are white.
Not to mention the fire giant incidents.
We're not even.
We're not even.
So ironically, that was
Rough.
close to my heart because that was the first thing that she saw. When she went to the Amtgard page, she was like, "What is that?"
And I've talked to a lot of people who are like, well, it doesn't matter. That's not enough to deter people. And you have
That's
a first-hand
100%.
you have a first-hand
That
story
was
saying it
2
literally
years ago,
is.
and she still won't come out.
When I took over the Amtgard Instagram, we hadn't been using it for a while, and I was like, Noah, these are all white dudes, and they're all white dudes over 30. What demographic are we targeting? White dudes over 30? Because that's not good.
That's not a great recruitment strategy.
And we already have a lot of those.
The first thing I did is actually look at the Instagram
she runs her
because I'm one of those
Instagram.
people. I like Instagram, and
great.
I looked at the Instagram, and as I was slightly deterred. We mainly came because I came with a group of like 6 girls.
Please.
If I was by myself, I legitimately would not have stayed. Because there's no pictures, there's no confirmation that basically this entire group existed. I mean, I legitimately thought, I'm like, okay, I'm going with my friends, I'm not gonna get deterred, I know like 2 people there. And then I met Serova and everything was great.
Serova's not very brave right now, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's true, because really our biggest recruitment opportunity is high schools and colleges.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that the over 30 demographic is unimportant, but you are unlikely to recruit a person who's like already an established adult with their own life.
Yeah.
There's
Job.
being able to
Yeah.
say, come hit people with foam. It's like, when were you recruited? When did you start playing?
The year I was
I don't
born.
count.
Generally, that's
Google on nothing
What
to see here.
age group are you in? Youth, teen, young adult?
30.
Actually, what year I was
How
born.
old do you guys think he is?
Don't do that. You young adult?
I was 18.
18? Yeah, I was
that's
I was a teenager.
I think I was 16.
17.
I was 16.
I think overall, like, you're not going to recruit. You're going to recruit people who are in high school and college because that's when you're kind of like looking for things to just blow time on.
You're aiming to get lifers.
And
So
I
how do
play.
we do that, right? We can talk about it and we agree, like, okay, one of the things in Nerini is the key
Out of sight, out of
diversity
mind.
and inclusion
Out
council.
of sight, out of mind.
But so how do we do that, right? So
They can smell your
it's easy
fear.
to say we need to, but every business,
Brave warrior, I don't
STEM
have ideas.
fields, I mean, you name it, everybody has recognized the need for diversity.
I have ideas.
So how do we get there?
So, ironically, a lot of things that are not okay, like that, like for example, if you're making a college brochure, taking all of the diverse people and putting them in the front of the thing on your college brochure, like the 5 diverse people at your college and putting them in the front.
Right.
That's not okay in like the real world. But it might be something we want to explore and answer.
I don't want to put you in some pictures on our Instagram
If I could
account.
make it to park, that would. But like, like some of those things where I'm just like, I would be like, why are you doing that? And in real life, it's just like there's literally like 5 of us in Crystal Groves, like 5 people of color.
When you stop, when you kind of bottom up, tell people, you start encouraging people not to be terrible. Because like, I'm a Hispanic woman in STEM. So I check a couple of those boxes. And like, a lot of it is not, people are like, why don't women in STEM run their own labs? Why don't they stay in academics? Why doesn't any of that happen? And it's like, it's not because I don't want to do science. It's not because there's no, there's money for me as a woman, there's money for me as a Hispanic person, there's money for me as a first generation college student. And the things that are most likely to drive me out are not the fact that there's no money for me, it's that people are awful.
Yeah.
People, when my advisor looks at me and goes, being an underrepresented student isn't enough. It's like, cool, man, I really want to be here now. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think when we make the culture better, you're going to see more diverse people coming out
what can we
because
do?
you're
Yeah.
not going to scare them
Well,
away.
let me ask, like, because for my park, for example, we really don't have a lot of diversity there. Is there anything that we could do, like, on a personal level to, like, encourage them without, like, without being patronizing
without,
or talking
like,
down to
pandering.
them?
It's like
pampering, yeah.
the smallest thing you can do, like just as like a really easy actionable thing. You have women at your park, obviously.
Yeah.
When somebody comes up and asks about Amtgard, don't send over a male player. Send over a female player. Guarantee if a woman comes up to you, she will feel 100% more comfortable talking to you about Amtgard. I guarantee if a parent comes up with like a 14-year-old child, she will probably, or he or she will probably feel more comfortable with you.
Right.
Just go over, like learn a little bit about what, like learn a little bit of like what your park's about, what time you field, go up, and then like make it more inclusive, because again, like we've all seen like the like a white male demographic, which is an important demographic of Amtgard, but if you go up and they think it's like you get that weird nerd culture stigma where it's like they're in their basement. if the more people think that we're in our basements instead of doing cool shit, because like we all have lots of like
the
crafting
active
alone
Like
is like a
actual
huge
exercise that's fun.
like going
Yeah.
out and like it's like a very imagination heavy thing, even if you're just doing like again crafting or role play. Just being more accessible means you up your likelihood of getting people of a broader background, whether that's high school students or women or college students.
And then they can
I would
also
say
like
excitement, too.
anyone walking up can see how many like white men over 30 there are. Like if they're majestic, they're on the ditch field, they're doing things.
Also, I think if you're-
but it's like
Oh, sorry,
sorry,
go
no, I'm almost done. I'm sorry.
No, you're
But,
good. You're
like-
good.
It's
My
hard
bad.
to- no. So yeah. So but then like the like I like that idea, like the action of someone from a minority coming up and like saying I have agency in this community. I'm actionable. I know what I'm talking about. I'm involved.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's really important as well, because then if you're someone if that having that, if I was at the beginning might have made me more likely to like take myself and my needs seriously when interacting, because I thought I had not something to prove, but like I thought that I was
You're representative of something.
a representative of something, but also I felt very much outside of the overall thing, because I felt like, okay, I have all these like pretty things where I need where I have to I felt often I felt like that I needed to put up with things, like make exceptions for people, because I wasn't the norm. Like I wasn't the normal person. They are the normal people. And so I felt like I didn't really have a leg to stand on, but it's having that, just literally that first interaction that would have been a lot. Maybe not with my race, but maybe with my gender.
Also, you can be like be over the top nice to your new players, regardless.
exciting,
And then
and
you're not being
sounds
patronizing because you want to hit a demographic. You're just being nice to all of your new players because they're new and they're freaked out. And this is like a weird thing you're doing. And they're like, I'm really insecure. Do I want to embrace this? Do I want to dress up in these clothes and hit these people with these pumps? You know, just be really, really good to your new players, and they're more likely to stay.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Can I have that conversation as a over 30, maybe over 40?
Yes.
My God, like,
Yeah.
God,
It's very
you're
important.
the one black player we have at our park. Do you mind being the approach and the spokesperson for anybody wondering by the flag? I mean, can I?
Okay, wait.
It's a weird, it's a hard
Can I
one.
have that conversation, or am I just supposed to assume that, like, okay, there's a player over there.
How do you
please
ask
touch
someone
his
to do
eye,
that?
please go talk to her.
Okay, so yeah, okay, that's important. So as I feel like it's very important for, like a lot of people will jokingly, I've heard people say this. Well, like I'm a white cis male, so I can't say anything. I'm just like, well, to the contrary, you should be the one. You are our main, having you as an ally is like our main defense against the like bull. I'm not gonna.
I know, I'm sorry.
Because if I start, I won't stop. Yeah. So against gold standard. Against all of that nonsense is like our main defense, because like people will listen. Oh, this isn't your question, but like I'm gonna go back to your question. So yes, I would say yes, ask, don't assume, right? Like don't assume that I'm always in a mood to. Like I generally am, but sometimes I just want to play, and I just want to. So don't maybe. Sometimes people will like a racial issue will come up, or this is a real life issue. We were talking about slavery in high school, and I was the only one in my AP U.S. history class who was black, and we talked about slavery. Everyone in the class, teacher included, all look at me and they're like, "How do you feel about this topic?" And I'm just like, "I don't know, man. I don't know, pretty bad." Like, what do you want me to say?
I think it was all right. I mean,
it worked out good for me. So, like, what do you expect me to say? Like,
Love it,
out
man.
it's something like that. It's like don't assume that like that I'm always like ready to be the guy, to be the goat. but maybe asking, maybe not the way that you said.
Also, asking somebody to come with you for any number of reasons. They're, and being like, hey, can you come up with me and talk to this kid? because, you know, you represent two different demographics of Amtgard. If the person is new and they're not comfortable with doing this kind of PR yet, you can sort of like walk them through it. And then there are two of you, and it's a little bit less isolationist,
You
depending
could be
who
like,
you're.
look, there are also adults here to make sure your kids
Like,
don't run off.
this,
if
your
yeah.
sheriff is like 16, and like, you know, our friend's dad plays, and he's like 40, and then they both go up at the same time. That's good because it's representative.
Yeah, and if I wanted to, like, if for example, if someone walked up and all you have to do is look at guys and say, would you mind going to talk to them, or would you like me to find someone else?
And
That's all it takes.
And it's not, and it's the difference. It's the difference between like we have eyes. We all see color.
That's rude to colorblind people. How dare you?
Goose, I'm sorry. We all are understand like that I am black, and that is fine, and that's not like I have people that assume that it's racist to even assume that, like, to even recognize like, hey, this is a black person. No. It's the reality of my situation, and I own it and I love it.
It's kind of like when I first came. My first park day was very short. I arrived late, but I decided on a whim with my sister to drive all the way down to FF, and that's like a 2-3 hour drive. And within 10 minutes of like interacting with you, CG, and which is, by the way,
GC.
like
CGGC.
I don't.
I'm dyslexic. I didn't even
You
notice.
get your point because I want to wrap back.
Okay,
up.
it's just like interacting with you, and by the way, you're very enthusiastic and you're very excited about Amtgard and all that stuff. But then, what really helped out was within 10 minutes having my interaction with Serova, and who was also just as excited and amped up to play, and it was just being introduced to the culture of Amtgard between two very different demographics of Amtgard, and then but two very fun and enthusiastic people.
Yeah.
And it really, that was like the soul solidifying thing that made me stay for the whole day. And then I met all of these other people I think are great.
I think we forget we're selling a product, right?
Yeah.
And we are.
Yeah.
We're all selling a product.
We're selling
So
an
it's not
awesome
like,
product.
well, if you want to play here, it needs to be, hey, come on in, welcome to our store.
Right.
Please stay and shop.
Even less a product, maybe just a brand. Like
It's a brand.
We are
Yeah.
Amtgard.
Because you don't need it. We're not selling the full experience because everybody has a different thing. So if I target my marketing strategy to a specific demographic, and that demographic is men between 16 and 25 who like fighting, everybody else is alienated. So our marketing strategy is bad, but building an overall brand that says, hey, we do all of these things is easier, because then people can go through and be like, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this.
Yeah.
This may have something to do with my real job in real life. I'm so sorry.
Do it, bring it. Yeah. But,
It's a la carte, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and that's a really good way to think of it, is you can pick and choose what you want to do, and you're not locked into something forever. And because our game isn't pay to play, although I think we all know that you do have to pay some money to do things eventually that you want to do, like events.
Yeah.
It's because it is.
Please get garb.
we would love if you had garb.
This garb was $9. Like, please.
So like,
Mine was free.
you're offering people the chance to pick things that they like, I guess, in the same way that you can like pick a wardrobe for yourself, or like pick makeup that you like, or like something where you can like buy different pieces and combine them to make a full thing.
Yeah. It's modular.
It's modular.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was what I was going for. Just could not think of it. Yeah. So yeah, we have to think of it as like, how do we represent our brand in the best light, and how do we make sure that if people do find something, I don't know, historically bad about our brand, because like Fire Giant, that thing was historical. It was a long time ago, but we kept it on our website forever.
And then it's like, it was just, it was the same girl. She keeps, I keep trying to, and Amtgard keeps messing it up. It's just my one friend. So it's just like, after that whole situation we cleared up, it was like,
Amtgard's
cool.
fine. Amtgard's fine now. Is it though?
And then she saw me ranting to someone on the Unmod page about
We
like
don't go there.
joking about Fire Giant.
We're not gonna talk about it here.
We're not. It's our shadowy place.
And I will say that like, I will say, and I think Goldcrest probably can also like say that like, I've been playing for as long as I have been. 2017 is so much better than 2007.
Yeah, I can see.
So
In
much
every way.
in every way. And I know that it doesn't seem that way.
Except for Converse.
I mean,
And, like,
honestly, I can say very,
2007.
very genuinely that in the 4 years that I've been here, I've seen some major improvements, especially
Maybe
when it
2
comes
years,
to
I
female fighting and female participation.
Yeah.
Like, because they used to be called blanket bunnies. And
I remember.
So blanket
saw-
bunnies.
I heard that
term
all the
used for
time,
first
and now I don't
in
hear
that
it anymore.
in that giant Facebook thing. I saw that used for the first time unironically by a woman, and I sighed. So I was just like,
Yep.
Blanket bunnies isn't a woman who fights. It's a woman who doesn't fight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. But everyone assumed that when I first started, a lot of people, when they saw a girl, they assumed blanket bunny. And so when I started picking up a sword, everyone was like,
Also,
It's
really,
and
honey,
it's the
really?
idea that like there's nothing else you can contribute if you don't fight because
Exactly.
flame knights are.
It's
so
that
real.
transition that some of you have probably experienced from person's girlfriend to independent person.
this is why I'm so glad I'm dating someone who doesn't Amtgard.
When people call Zach Brady's boyfriend, it's like
That
peak.
was, that's
Oh yeah, I get
so
the
hard.
inverse now, which is great. But like
No, it's not. But people should
it's
have
great.
their own identity.
Let me have this.
Their own identity.
But
We all have
no,
names.
for a number of years, I was like most of my relationships have been through Amtgard,
Yeah.
and for the longest time, I was whoever's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Even when I was autonomous and did things in the kingdom that people knew about and was like
People
running
would
events.
swap. People who I'd known for a long time, I would go from so and so's girlfriend to so and so other person's girlfriend, and I was like, man, you've known me through 2 boyfriends. Can I have a
Can we
name?
just, after a certain time frame, can we just have a name? A
learned-
girl needs a name.
You know more about my life than you should.
That or
You
the
can
always
call me
coming
Ariel,
up to
I'll
you
respond.
asking where the other person is. That is literally the worst thing.
No,
Can
the
you-
worst is
in
when
the
you get a
world.
message, so and so did a bad thing. Can you
handle it?
No.
They are their own person.
Yeah.
I'm not their keeper just
their
because.
I get that, but even male friends. I've gotten Brennan did a thing I don't like. Can you handle
yes,
it?
exactly. I get that all the time. It's
You
even
would have more foot to stand on. 'cause he's
It's
your
so
brother.
bad for me because not only do I have my brother, I have another brother who does Amtgard, and then I have Donovan and Quaid, who I talk to all the time. So they're just
We're
like,
all in-
Savannah, where's Donovan?
Autonomous adults with legs and personalities.
Not mermaids, to be clear.
Yeah. They're not like-
I am a mermaid.
I
they're not like-
have
they,
one.
They wander off. I didn't leash them. I don't know, man.
That's not how this works.
I don't know where they went.
Yeah. So just
Don't do
So I
that.
know Monomi is going to fire me because I was just going to be
I want
cameraman,
more of your
but no, so how do I encourage, and we'll stick with women for the scope of the panel, how do I encourage more women to take leadership roles?
Oh,
them if
can
they
I
wanna
answer
help
this
you.
one?
Yes.
Is it by actually letting the lead and not overstepping them every time you're in the panel?
Go Craig!
You did it!
I'm glad you made that point before I
Oh,
did.
it's great because he answered.
Answer for yourself.
Amber, I'm so sorry.
All right, moving on.
No, I mean like
the mansplaining.
Goldcrest knows I'm a very nervous person, so thank you for interjecting. But when I started playing Amtgard, I came to Park for like 4 weeks, and then I was like hanging out with the people that I had always been hanging out with before I started playing, but they were all either in leadership roles or had been before, and they were talking about how the monarchy of our park was not running the way it needed to be. And then a couple of them were like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, this person's already been in leadership. They can't like be in it again, and because you can't do two.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then so they all looked at me and they were like, you really like Amtgard, and you know, maybe you should just jump in and like be our regent. It'll be like a crash course type thing. And I was like, I mean, yeah, as long as you guys like tell me when I'm not doing it right, and then I can learn how to do it. And I think that like really helped me because once I started doing leadership and service to the game, I felt like I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay,
Tell me about it.
how can I make Amtgard better for me, but also for everybody else?
By making it better for me.
At the same time.
Yeah, I think I had a lot of people, especially my knight. He ran a lot of events, and so he just started looking at me and going, hey, I'm
Yes.
autocrating this event. Be my runner, which basically meant co-autocrat this event with me, but just like, it didn't put my name on anything, so I didn't feel pressured, but he was just like, help me do this. Do you want to help me with this? Do you want to help me with this? And I could say yes or no at any point, but like, it lets you get into things without all the pressure.
This
If
is-
somebody just says, hey, do you want to help me do this thing?
This is like really similar how you can get anyone into a leadership role. The
Do
only
you wanna
real big
autocrat?
difference is the people who are there to like help you through it or help mentor you through that leadership role. There are people out there who in Amtgard who understand that that's how you do it, right? But you need some people still don't understand that a woman is still an option. One of those women in your lives one of the women in your life, you can go up to her and be like, hey, would you help me run this event? Would you help me do this thing?
I
had
think
the opposite
I think it's an
experience.
Amtgard age problem. Like, we're all whatever biological age where, but it's an Amtgard age problem where, like, you see a new person and you're like, well, that person, I don't know if that person can run a big quest for a big event because I've never seen them do it. Like Jordan did BC Camp Out, and Jordan hadn't run something quite that size before, but he's not a young Amtgarder and still had that like thing. But when you're younger, people don't trust you because you don't have an established record. And what I said in the Knights AMA recently was just build a reputation for being competent and not bailing, and people will trust you with progressively larger and larger things.
Yeah.
And that's not a gendered experience, but I understand in a park with a low female population how that's absolutely a gendered experience.
Like, I don't know. For me, it's very difficult to really, because I don't like doing a lot of leadership things. Like, I would not want to run like an event or even a small event. I would not want to do that at all. But when it comes to
Do you want me to finish the job?
just tear it down,
God.
we're fine.
It's all rude.
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
But we get to rebuild it.
If you guys could see Goldcrest's face.
But it was very difficult for me to want to do anything leadership role because everyone assumed that I wanted to do certain things. I don't know if that was a gender thing or an age thing. I don't know. But I finally am in a leadership role now. I just became champion of my park, which is semi-terrifying. But because I don't do any leadership qualities, and I feel like but I also have the luck. In my park, I have Mom and I have Shiva, and they are both very leadership oriented people and they love that kind of stuff. So I never felt like I would struggle if I'm like, I want to run this thing. They'd be like, sure, because they're used to women taking leadership in their park when it comes to events and stuff. But when it came to the field, I don't know. I felt like, I think I was probably just psyching myself out. I'm like, they're not going to pick me. They're going to pick my brother. And I was like, oh God, what if they don't like me, kind of a thing. And it was just, I think I was just mostly psyching myself out.
How many people on this panel are in a leadership role at all? Dope.
She can't yet.
Soon, but you can vote, you can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is an RSS thing. Speaking of my regent ring. This is an RSS thing. I'm sorry. What?
Nothing.
Coffee.
Yeah.
So speaking of, this is RSS is getting to a point in our sordid history, where we.
Oh.
Tell you later.
Your eyes tell the story. I've got it.
Where we we were much in crisis mode. We came in like the middle of it. We were much in crisis mode for about 8 months. We were like in crisis mode, and that's when I started being regent, and it was very I was really awesome. And I don't know if this is just an RSS thing, but I was never. It was always there was never any like you said, it was never a gendered experience. It was always like, we are on the same team. It's Team RSS. We need to get through like the next week.
I want to add to that because this is kind of like links into everything we have been talking about. RSS gives out so many awards, okay, for like tiny things too. They're just like, you tried really hard to do this thing and it didn't really look that great, but we all noticed you tried. So here, have a thing, and like that kind of.
We gotta be so careful though, because we can give up to level 8.
It's great.
We noticed someone getting up to 5. I was like, what have you done?
But I feel like that should be definitely, like, I've been trying to like incorporate that kind of positivity into my reign as champion because, dude, everyone at RSS was happy, and like people watching other people get awards was happy. I mean, we sat there for a long time.
That was great.
Did you know that it's free to say thank you?
Randall has the best story about that.
Yeah.
Randall did something, I don't remember what it was, and I'm just telling his story, it's fine. And the person, like the incoming monarch, I think, was like, oh man, you did a really great job, but we can't give you any more awards for this thing. Yeah. And Randall said, oh, a thank you would be great. And the guy laughed and walked away.
Oh my gosh.
Just say thank you to people. Just say thank you to
Nothing,
people.
you don't have to buy my kindness.
There is actually my favorite award on my Amtgard and my org is my park was a barony and couldn't give me the next lion that I was like, the monarch at the time said like, no, a 6th lion is too much for this job, and my monarch was like, okay. So they called all of the people who were getting lions up in front of court, and they were like, 1st lion, 3rd lion, Alex, I can't give you another lion, so here is a firm handshake. So my org says like, like give an firm handshake. That's enough. That's all it takes. It's
Give a
so
crisp
easy.
high five.
Love it.
Yeah, it's like sweet finger gun.
That's all it
Whatever
takes.
you need.
But
I would
If
definitely. I would
somebody
love to
gave
have
me
finger
finger
guns
guns,
as an
yeah.
award.
Also, just
You did a
like,
great
as,
job.
As my region, like how I see things. I love when I know I like getting recognition for things, and I love when people
It's
get
so
recognition for
encouraging.
things.
It
Exactly.
really is.
Exactly.
Citizen.
It's so encouraging.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially at the
Give
lower
your
levels.
newbies first.
you're
Just
right,
exactly,
Elizabeth
yeah.
first.
Just
so.
like, just do
This
We
is-
it.
have an award day once a month.
This
Just
is like
give first everything, 'cause there's no reason not to.
And this is a really hypocritical thing to say, and I think Brittany and Amber know this about me, and Goldcrest definitely knows this about me. Did you know you can just message people and say they're doing a good job? And you just be like, you're doing a great job. Don't do that to me.
Alex
Ever?
Alex gets really uncomfortable.
But,
doing
like,
all
You
the
might
time.
tell the captain of your guard that she's doing a good job once in a while, please. I'm sorry.
Just message
Sorry.
somebody if you see them doing something good on the internet, or if you see them,
Yeah.
if you see them doing something that looks tough, and you're like, it was really hard for you to say that, message them and be like, man, that was a great thing you said. I just think you should know that you're doing a really
You
good
did a
job.
real good job,
today."
Alex.
These
Oh,
are the
God.
things-
Great
no,
job.
These are the things that
Nine places
has
a
happened
handful, you're
in
killing it.
Amtgard. People, someone I don't know, messaged me and said,
That happens.
"Hey, I remember it was like that day where we had that really big conversation about actually basically half of this conversation, but with a group of people at RSS, and." I got a message from 2 people saying like, "Hey, I'm happy you talked to me about that. I'm gonna try and consider of it, and thank you for being comfortable enough to say this." Or like,
It never
have-
gets less weird. That
No,
feeling
it
when
does
happens
not
first
get
time,
less
you're like,
weird.
it's great,
I
but it
know.
never gets less.
When she
bizarre.
gave me
It's
awards,
great.
I was
It's
all
awesome.
like,
Why is it a weird feeling? I feel like like to be
Validated.
validated because
Ooh,
you're
this is
supposed
something
you're
you talk
supposed
about my daddy issues.
Oh, God.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we
Talk about our
can.
daddy issues, guys.
We don't have to talk.
I
We
really
don't have to
do.
talk about our daddy issues, but like, we don't have to. You can't make me. But like authority issues, like going through sometimes
Not
going
always.
through times in your life where you struggled with something and nobody told you were doing a good job, or the opposite, people told you were doing a bad job, you were overreacting, you didn't need to do those things. Like when you have those things happen, when you start hearing good things, you're like, well, you want something from me, so I don't want to take this compliment seriously, which is what I did for a long time. And by the time I got to like like where I am now, and I started getting put on lists of like favorite Amtgarders by people I don't know, and with people who are my idols,
That
it
list-
does not get less weird,
Nope.
and it gets more upsetting because you're like, you can't think this about me
That nice
because
anime
Not
thing.
bad.
imposter
upsetting.
syndrome is so real. And you, like, a lot of Amtgarders go through this, and I find like a lot of hardworking Amtgarders go through this in like any path, that you think that you have no value based on life experiences as well outside of Amtgard, and so when somebody compliments you, it's genuinely a foreign concept. Like your brain cannot wrap itself around like, that person thinks I'm great.
See, I have really bad imposter
Yeah.
syndrome, but
I
I
just
love
had
when
a
people say nice
conversation
things about me.
with
I
you.
eat that shit up. Like, yeah.
So, this
Tell me I did good, please.
this reminds me
External
of
validation.
my overbelt. So like when I got belted to Nimruin, I was having like an awful time in life.
Oh.
When I got belted in Nimruin, I was having like an awful time in life. Just like didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. Didn't feel like I would ever amount to anything. And then I started playing Amtgard, and then I met Richie, and we had like a 5-minute conversation. But at the end of that 5-minute conversation, he was like, "Hey, you should just make sure that you don't ever take a belt from someone unless they're the best." And I was like, what do you mean, Richie? And he was like, "I don't know, just think about it." And I was like, all right, Richie, I'll do that. And then, but like,
Oh.
I really
sweet.
thought about
That
it.
is really nice,
families.
actually.
And just that moment in Amtgard like made me
miss my people.
feel like I had a place in the world, and like that even though everything that goes on outside of Amtgard still exists and it happens and I have to deal with it, it makes it a little easier to deal with.
I have been unbelted for a very long time now, so it feels like a very long time.
I was
So
unbelted for my first 5 years. You'll be fine.
I'm missing that actual community kind of thing.
Oh,
I
okay,
actually
yeah.
am, because I was belted to Toda first, and he was super great to me. He taught me how to fight. He would spend time actually walking me through certain things. He was respectful. He was courteous. He would introduce me to all of his other squires or pages or whatever. It was very nice. It felt like a family. It was so wonderful. And then he moved to New York, and I basically I'm sorry, I have to
the
give you a belt back.
Deadlands.
So
I'm from New
So-
York.
so,
Rest in peace.
So I had to give my belt. I had to give my
Look
belts
what you
away
did.
when I did. So when I did give my
I
belts
get
away, at first it was necessary, because not only was that happening, but the fighting company I was in at the time was kind of falling apart. So I lost my footing when it came to losing my belt, and then I lost my footing when it came to my fighting company, and then my own park was going through like this flux where people were just getting meaner to each other, and that was really awful. And so I'm sitting there like, I don't even know if I want to come to Amtgard anymore, and I'm not sure why I started again. I think it was because Cairo bought me a dress simply for like $15, and he's like, because he knew I wanted it, and he's like, I'll get you this as long as, because I was going to pay him back. He's like, I'll get you this as long as you start coming to field more. And I was like, that made me feel like I was actually wanted. So I kept trying, and I was like, I want to try what I'm doing. I want to try it again, and so I did.
I thought that was a tattoo. Oh my
So
God.
to that, I feel like we should talk about moments that like we like found our niche in
I
Amtgard.
like this conversation.
Already, like, getting really
Where-
emotional. I don't know if you
Good.
should do that.
Where like it doesn't have to be emotional, but
It's gonna be
You do
emotional.
the shot.
I really want to see if we're gonna really get back.
And I wasn't like bringing up mine to like talk about like how good being
Stop it.
belted is or how good being in a fighting company is. It was just how good it is to feel like you have a place somewhere.
Yeah.
Also, Grace, I want you to answer it because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
haven't talked in a very long time.
Ohana means family.
That means no one gets left behind.
And I don't mean to keep singling you out. I just
no,
want to
no,
hear
you're
from
fine.
you more.
We're all very loud. You're not.
I mean, my belted family is really just him, Ryan.
He's
Shauna.
here.
And I mean, we're both snarky people.
Not at all.
An understatement.
So
Mild mannered.
it's just one of those
Scathing.
like relationships where it just goes back and forth, back and forth. There's no like awkwardness. It's just word playing off of each other, making fun of Henry, the usual. So that's kind of like my niche around here.
I don't know that I've ever fully had that experience, because my imposter syndrome's real bad, and I have problems with like accepting stuff. Oh, I can think of a good one though. When I got knighted, so my knight Celia was belted to Sanchez first, and they had kind of a falling out, and then she wasn't belted to him, and then she was belted to Anders. And Sanchez, who was retired, made a point to come out for my knighting, and he like hung around all day. And we talked about stuff, and like he and I have always actually been like fairly close. And we were talking, and he was telling me he was proud of me, and that was a really good moment. But what he said that really messed with me and like made me feel like I got some like validation I wasn't expecting was he said, "You're just one of those good knights in Amtgard, like Goldcrest." And I was just like,
Lame.
like what? And I couldn't, because Goldcrest for a long time before I met him was just like this figure who just did things in Amtgard and all this stuff got done. Like I was not ready. I'm pretty sure I told him to shut up. And and there are moments like that where even though like I as a person can't fully accept those things, it's just like a part of my neuroses that I can't accept those things. Those things do happen, and that kind of commentary is helpful, because if I think that Goldcrest is great, which I do, then that means, and if that person thinks I'm great, that means that I'm doing the right thing, because that like it's a chain of like people getting to know people and doing the right thing. So that works enough. That's enough for me.
It's gonna be okay.
No, it's just like
Do it.
Okay. It's just being here for a short amount of time. There are certain people, like especially knights, that I hear about before I meet them, and then there's Goldcrest, who I heard about him, and then I met him, didn't know I met him.
No, yeah, because he goes to our park and he's just a dude.
And yeah, he's a people person.
And I love how like every
Knights
are dudes.
Like,
Knight-
yeah.
Whoa!
Hey.
No, genderless. Dude and
is a
Some
genderless
nights
phrase.
are
Yeah.
dudes.
Nights are just
The
dude.
faucet is dude.
Nights,
Like,
nights
there's-
should be just dudes.
Like,
But I love how like all the players, like all the new players, like you and
yeah,
everyone else.
I hear about I
Loveless.
heard about you before I met you. I heard
God.
good things.
I believe it was in a conversation that I,
just
brought
heard,
her up. It
I
was
heard
like,
your
Promethea's the
snark way
best.
before I knew who you were. So
Yeah. No, like,
That's why I
and,
don't use
like,
my Amtgard name.
like, and that's what I think, and that's why like one of the reasons why I'm so like excited about Richie being united, because that's like when
like
when
he
you,
needs more power.
when he
does. He's perfect.
When someone gets knighted, especially like because you're here talking about this as a knight, being adamant in what you're saying, and you're representing everything a knight needs to be, and.
You already said-
I'm sorry. This
Everything.
As my page.
That's my
You are.
That's so pure. By the way, he wears his page belt, and I'm just like,
You said to me, "Go."
He just found one.
and I'm just like, you know what, go Chris.
I'm going to go get his page belt. It's just I hear about these. I
Told
like
someone
it's,
Gold Crest was my name.
it's
once, and they gave
actually
me extra
incredibly
vegetables.
it's incredibly validating for me as a new player to hear these incredibly cool, insanely amazing things about these knights, and then hearing that actually physically seeing they're as amazing and cool and good as they.
She needs
What?
that.
What? Oh
She
my
needs
God!
that for arts and
Isaac,
sciences.
okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Look, we take care of each other.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, that's delicious.
Thanks, Sonia.
Johnny Ann.
Is that alcohol?
You're a
Actually,
blessing.
I'm being serious. As a new player,
Lemon.
and
Oh.
like as seeing a lady knight
I'm a
walking
child.
around like it's really validating to me. Like in my own way, it kind of gives me more of a goal than being a citizen.
Yeah.
Being a citizen is a great first goal because I'm not.
Oof.
I'm in grad school. I'm real bad at going to park
Who
right
is
now.
this imposter?
Attendance is real.
But
rough
like,
right
I
now.
think that is kind of a nice thing too, and that never stops. There will always be people who are like role models to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were talking about like what was a moment that you found your niche. I have another upsetting moment, also related to being a knight. Being a knight has been a really weird time. When
When were you knighted?
I've only been a knight for a year. I was knighted in last May. I got knighted, and I had 3 men at arms, and I gave them all squires belts because I'm a maniac, and who cares about the number of squires you have? So I gave them all squires belts, and then one of my squires and I were like walking back across the field to go to our car or whatever.
to go run War Master.
It may have been to go run War Master. I may have
He's
been
wearing
autocratic.
he has his belt
autocrated the
on
other
right
day.
now.
Yeah, that's like
No,
what she's
she
that's like
war
what she's
credit.
doing.
She war credit.
I war credit the
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
And I was walking across the field, and this boy who was maybe like between like 8 and 10, like too young to play Amtgard, came up to me and he was like, "Sir Promethea." I started to cry immediately, and I was talking to Rotari, who's my squire, and I said, "I can't go back, can I?" And he said, "You can't," and I said, "Okay." And then I went and ran the War Master. So there will all the benefit of playing Amtgard is if you're as long as the culture is good and it keeps improving, you will always get those moments.
Yeah.
And they're always, in my case, very upsetting. But like you will get to have more and more of those moments as you stay in the game longer, and it never stops. And I'm confident that Goldcrest and other knights that I know who've been playing longer than I have, and not other people, they don't have to be knights. People who are playing longer than I have those experiences too, even like years on.
Let's see, I'm still trying to find exactly where my niche is. I'm still trying to figure out what I want. Well, roleplay has been a really fun part of it because I enjoy it and I like acting and I like getting dramatic because it's fun.
You're so
But
good at it.
I'm
You scare me.
I actually did scare some
Ready?
people.
The secret is that you can do more than one thing.
I know.
You
What?
can do whatever you
No.
want.
So
I
I've
don't
realized-
because I'm a one-trick pony, but like other people can.
No, I've realized recently that I love the roleplay, and I made people afraid because I was yelling at Kai once in roleplay, and
Yeah,
everyone
and I was
actually came up to
crying.
us afterwards, and she was crying. Everyone was coming up to her
And-
afterwards, like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're good."
Kai's not going through a good time right now.
But I do love the roleplay, and I love trying to get other people involved in it. But I love to fight too, okay? Because fighting is fun, especially if I've got a shield. Because I don't know, I really love it, and I have a lot of people around me who also love to fight, and they encourage me in fighting. I don't ever feel discouraged when I'm fighting unless I go to like an event where there are a lot of new fighters. Because I had one fighter one time go easy on me in a fight and let me get a win. He let me kill him. It was a high level fighter. Let me kill him once, and then he killed me back. And I knew he had gone easy, so I walked up to him and I'm like, did you go easy on me? Why? I didn't even ask. I was like, you went easy on me. Why did you do that? And he said, oh, I couldn't risk messing up such a pretty face. And I got so, and I couldn't even say anything. I got
Also,
so
it's not
angry.
a legal shot. Why would he
Thank
be hitting
you.
you in the head? He should be hitting you in the head.
There's a lot of problems.
I was
I have a lot of problems with this story.
I was so new that I just like stared at him and I couldn't speak. I was just shocked and appalled, and I was just like, and I just stared at him, shook my head, and walked away.
Come on, Fleur.
But
Wow.
but I walked when I finally managed to.
I was like right at the back of this wall, outside,
I'm letting your
on the other building.
But when I
Back wall facing. As soon as you walk out.
Bye.
but after all that happens, like so I don't have that
I'm
happen a
Promethea
whole lot
now.
when it
Howdy,
comes
howdy,
to fighting. When it comes to like people discourage me in fighting, that doesn't happen as often anymore because I fight with Tato as often as possible, pretty much. I fight with all the Darkwater people.
Another
I fight
quality night.
Yeah, fight with all the Darkwater people. I fight with all my boys at home. My brother and all Homer and all that stuff, and Justice. So I have a lot of people that I could just have easy accessibility to, so that I can fight with them. And so I really love the fighting aspect too. So that's also part of what I love to do. But then again, someone's getting me into service. So hence, well, it is happening slowly, but
That's
surely.
great.
Actually, I want to bring up another topic. As a girl, how do you guys present the conversation of telling someone they hit too hard, coming from basically?
I don't.
I don't.
When it comes when I get hit
Because-
too hard, I know the difference between a guy actually wailing on me or a guy who's using a sword that's too hard or a guy who just naturally hits hard. I can always tell the difference. And if someone hits me too hard, I call them out on it immediately.
Yeah.
I say, "Are you angry? What's wrong with you? Are you okay?"
No,
I actually I told one person, I said, if you're that angry, you should not be on the field. Leave. Okay? I'm not fighting you anymore.
My experience is I've certain people in the new group that I came with, one of them doesn't fight because she got a bruise, a really bad bruise, and this is just because that was just the way they were fighting. And I understand that, but because she got that really bad bruise, and she sees, and we have a few really good fighters in our at RSS, and then we have a lot of really, really good fighters that come and visit, and she'll see that one-on-one combat, and she'll see that, and then remember how much she got hurt, and she'll go I don't want to get hit that
So
hard.
what I
by
usually
someone
do,
like that.
what I do usually is because I do have a decent amount of fighting experience. I still have so much to go. I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anybody at all. Believe me, but
Better than me.
when someone hits too hard like that, I'm usually able to tell why. If they just and usually if I see someone cranking back right here, I'll tell them why that's a bad idea. And if I see that they're doing it repeatedly, even though I've tried to say, hey, you're swinging a little bit hard, and they continue to crank back here, that's a huge opening. So if I see them trying to crank back and wail on me, I kill them before they can touch me because it's an opening. But usually I try to teach that person and say, look, this is how you should really be fighting because you're going to hurt somebody. If you do that, what happens if you had hit my face with that blow right then? I would be in severe pain. That's not okay. And you want to it's a teaching opportunity. You want to be and if they refuse to listen and learn, then go to your monarchy and say, this guy is an actual danger to people on field.
Come to me.
Look what he did to me.
I don't have good advice about what to do, but I quit fighting for that reason 7 years ago.
I quit fighting for that reason 8 years ago.
Because someone got really aggressive with me because they thought beating on a 16-year-old girl was funny, and I didn't do anything about it, and I just quit fighting. And I would not recommend that course of action. That's not a great idea. You'll regret it. And I told
Fighting in battle games or
period. Until I moved in with Zach, I hadn't picked up a sword in years.
I got hit in the throat during a polearm tournament, and even though I was I couldn't breathe properly, and I took a step back. He hit me in the chest, and they were like, "Oh, he wins," and I was like, "Well, that bracket is ruined." Even though I was going up in the brackets, I immediately was dropped out because we decided
That's a horrible
we
call.
just decided that his win was more important than me having a minute to recover from a shot directly to the throat with a polearm, and that was really disheartening.
Yeah.
I had someone back me up against a tree and just continue to hit because I wasn't calling dead, so
See, that's the case where I would immediately call that guy out. Like if I see something like that.
Right.
I was
It's,
also
it's really
16.
easy. I think it's
Yeah.
easy to say that now because the culture's different. But I was
that's true.
16,
Like
and
18,
it was different.
18,
Yeah.
19, I definitely
Well,
wouldn't have done that.
Definitely, if you see something like that happening, if someone's
If-
wailing
yeah,
on
you
another
should
girl,
definitely say something.
definitely say something. Put yourself in that guy's path and challenge him.
I'm a violent person. So, like,
Yeah.
like in
I
real
told the
life,
dude,
in my
so-
real life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
Well, you're very confrontational if something happens. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, that was not okay.
Yeah.
What are you doing? That's who you are. So-
I'm confrontational now. I'm not. I'm also not confrontational for things that happen to me. I'm confrontational when if something was
It's
if
easier
someone
on
said
other
something to her, it would be a different story. Or you,
Yeah.
or anyone here.
No, it's
I mean,
easier
I
for
can
other
handle
people.
myself.
Yeah, no,
I
but
appreciate it.
still, but I also something that I stress as at RSS is you reserve the right. Like this is something with role play. You reserve the right to not fight anyone
Yeah.
who you don't want to fight.
Mm.
There are certain people that I won't fight.
And it's
Because
not
I know
shameful.
because I know that and I've told them up front. I'm just like, dude, I'm not gonna fight you, because I don't like getting hurt. I've told you multiple times that your hits hurt, and it's like it's not something that's like this is an illegal shot. It's not like you're using like you're hurting people. But I'm just not gonna fight you.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and then if I come up across them
Another
on the field,
way-
I'll either try to evade them or I'll call
I
dead.
won't fight because
And-
every fight there's some people I won't fight because every fight I leave with them I
think we're
have
talking
a
about the
bruise
same
on my
person.
arm because it's not intentional. It's not because of that. It's just that.
That
ended up
sounds like an
happening.
issue you need to talk to your monarchy about because if it's a continuous issue, then it needs to be addressed.
Oh, I
aside
spoke
from
to
that,
them. They were a visitor.
yeah. Aside from that though, also check their weapons. Okay, and
Yeah.
like because that is a way of making them realize without really calling them out on it. It's not as directly confrontational. You kind of go, is that weapon cord or something? Like, what? I don't think so. Can I see it? Check it. Check it or whatever. Just see how hard hitting or anything it is, and like say, okay, well it's legal, but it's kind of hard hitting. You might want to be careful with that, and that makes them be able
I
to.
never understood why people test weapons by hitting the person that owns the weapon with the weapon.
Well, I mean, if you wouldn't get hit with your own weapon, you probably shouldn't fight with it.
I know, but then I've seen people like grit their teeth and be like, yep, yep.
That person is a schmuck.
And also,
Henry
if you don't feel comfortable like going up to that person and checking that person's weapon, go to the champion.
have
Or go to your
Anyone
GMR.
who's
Two
Reeves
things.
Claw. Anyone
Because
who's
if the
Reeves
champion
Claw-
walks up and says, I've had people talk to me that your weapon's not really legal, they'll be like, what? Yeah, they say that it's leaving bruises or just it hits really hard. Can I check that for you? That'll make them be more
I
conscious of
am
their
like
actions.
obsessive about my arrows.
You should.
I don't-
Arrows
I-
can hurt
arrows
people.
are- yeah. I don't want to hurt my friends.
You should worry about everyone's arrows.
I
'cause
worry about.
arrows are.
I've been known to tear people's arrows apart, like
Yeah.
on the spot. And I keep stuff to put them back together, but I'm just like, I want to see the insides. I want to know.
Never check my weapons.
Just a quick thing, I
Yeah,
don't think I've
bring it
ever
back around.
seen you tear apart somebody's arrows without permission first.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Unless I'm
With their
unless
bare
I'm just like,
hands.
what is this bullshit?
That would be really awesome.
I'm
to see.
sorry. I'm ashamed. I've shamed the people of RSS. Yeah. I wanna go back to the niche question. I don't. This question is sad. The question. I don't like hurting people. I don't want people to get hurt in Amtgard.
Well, no, and that's something. The safety is a huge issue because a lot of girls want to be seen as equal on the battlefield. So a lot of them will not speak up if they start getting hurt. And I know, but so you have to keep an eye on the younger girls or the newer girls just to make sure that they're not doing stuff like that. And if you see it happening, either talk to her or talk to the person she's fighting, because she needs to start speaking for herself. So you need to talk to her and try and encourage her to speak for herself and stand up for herself.
Well, she needs
But on
to
the
know
other
that
hand-
it's
also-
acceptable.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
she needs to know
yeah,
it's allowed.
exactly. And then you also need to be able to talk to the guy and
We're on
say,
the same wavelength
you need
here.
to start watching your shots. Don't hurt this person.
Yeah.
You know, just be,
Make sure that it's not like so. Sometimes I see a lot of shifting of blame onto like, well, you need to get tougher. No.
So
no.
No,
You need
no.
to watch your shots.
I gotta go. I gotta go do Dragon Master stuff.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you
I'm
for
gonna
talking
I'm
with
gonna have
us.
so much fun
Thank you for
eating the
doing.
food.
Tell me
You're
how
not
it
even a
is.
citizen.
Can you ask Shelley if I'm supposed to be there too?
You are.
Yes,
You are. Okay. We can.
Can you get my
It's
house?
12:20.
Yeah, we can maybe wrap it up.
Yeah, well, I think we can wrap it up.
It's been long. We've been
Yeah.
sitting here a while.
Thank you guys for being a part of this round table.
Thank
I
you.
feel like
Thank
we
you
talked
for
about a
having
lot.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to sign the
Yeah.
release form. Like,
Also, thank you for
Horse
like
motor.
asking questions
Okay.
and not making me do my job. So yeah.
yay.
Also, thanks for watching.
Thank you, Lopez, for having us.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Finger gun.
Finger gun.
Finger gun.